In this video, we will make a simple song using the Lab Ambient sound in Ableton Live 11 Lite. So here's the Ableton Live 11 Lite interface. If you've seen any of our other videos, you'll know that we keep it very simple here, using a single sound to make a song. Okay, let's jump right in. And we'll start by removing these audio tracks by right-clicking and selecting Delete. The sound we want today is called Lab Ambient. So in the top left-hand corner under Collections, we're under Sounds, under Ambient and Evolving, and then we are Lab Ambient. So here's how that sounds. This should be an interesting one. To mute the preview, click on the little headphone icon and then click it again to enable it. Okay, so we'll left click and drag this up to the top clip, and that will arm that track with that sound. You can see down here the Lab Ambient sound is loaded. We're not going to edit any of the settings. This is purely about using the default settings to see what we can achieve, and also to preview the sound for you if you'd like to try these out yourself. Okay, so now we need to create some MIDI data. So we double click on the top clip. That loads the MIDI editor. In this example, we're going to use a 1/4/5 turnaround in the key of C. So if you click on Scale, C major, and it will highlight the relevant notes. We're going to do a 4-bar turnaround. So here's the length of the clip. These lengths are in bars. So if you left click and drag up, you can change it to 4. You can also double click and enter the number. And you can see 4 bars here. So we're going to do our turnaround in the key of C, so we need the chords of C, F, and G. If you need some more help with a 1/4/5 turnaround, then check out our video on 1/4/5 turnarounds, and this will help you. It's really quite straightforward. So we'll start with 1. The 1 chord is C, the chord of C, and that's created with the notes C, E, and G. Now with these ambient sounds, if you create a full chord, it often doesn't play. We're going to use the root note of each chord to represent the full chord. We can then use our melody later to use the remaining notes in the chord to imply the full chord. So to enter notes in the MIDI, you just double click. They'll initially enter as a 16th because that is our default note length. So the first note we want is C. I'm going to come down. If we click on this headphone icon, we can preview. I'm going to come down to C2. So we'll start with a bar of C2, double click, left click and drag this handle, and that creates a bar. Our second bar is going to be the 5 chord. So the 5 chord is G. So we just want the G root note for now. Our third chord is going to be 4, and the 4 chord in the key of C is F. So we'll just enter an F note here. Again for a bar. And then the final bar will be a 5 chord again, which is the chord of G. So we'll play another G note. Okay, so that's our 4-bar turnaround. We can listen to it up here. We'll click on this play icon. And that will just keep looping until you click stop. Okay, so before we start work on the melody, I'm going to pan this slightly to the left. So under the track, you can see we've got this knob here. It's called track pan. If you left click and we drag down, and we'll go to 20 left. You can also drag right. So in order to create our melody, we're going to load the same sound onto the second track. So here's the Lab Ambient again. Left click and drag to the top clip. It's loaded here as before. Double click. Change the length to 4. Okay. And before I begin, I'll pan this track slightly to the right. So the chord track was 20 to the left, so we'll go 20 to the right for this one. There we are, finally. Okay, so for the melody, we're just going to use the chord notes. If you want a bit more help with creating a melody, then check out our simple melody video using 1-4-5 chords. It'll explain exactly what we're going to do here. So the first chord is C, and that has the notes C, E, and G. We're going to use a slightly higher register here. So do you remember that the chords were at C2? So we'll go between C3 and C4. Let's preview that here. Okay. So I think we'll start at C3 and work our way up. Create a rising melody. So we'll start with C. The root note is generally a good starting point for a melody. And we'll aim to end on C as well. But we want to get in the third and the fifth notes for each chord, because if you remember, they weren't heard. So I want an E and a G in this first bar now. I think we'll start just going to E and then G. So this is called an arpeggio. If you go to the video I mentioned earlier about creating a melody, all of this will be explained. As we create this melody, we can preview it. So if we select play here, it will keep on looping what we're creating as we're creating it. Okay, so for the second bar, we need the G chord because we're going to the 5 chord. So the notes are G, B, and D. You can see here we ended on G, so we could continue this note over because they share a note in common. So I'm just editing the lengths, left clicking, moving notes around, clicking and dragging, just trying to work out where we want our melody to go. Okay, so the third chord, the third bar, had the 4 chord, which is F, which has the notes F, A, and C. And we end on the G chord, so G, B and D. These ambient sounds generally prefer longer note durations. Just allows them to be heard. Okay, we'll bring in the chords as well. Click master here. Okay, so that's our little melody created using the chord notes. So is it possible to create a song using the lab ambient sound? Yes, it is. Very interesting sound, and as ever with these ambient sounds, they're not really designed to create an entire song, but the results are always interesting. This has been more successful than some of the other sounds. But we'll end it there. Thanks for watching. You can now create an entire song using the lab ambient sound in Ableton Live 11 Lite. Please like and subscribe to Songwriting Explained for more songwriting content. If you'd like more Ableton videos, then there's a playlist on screen for you now.